So recently I actually had a little epiphany, to be honest, and it was nothing that had really happened even recently. It was actually a long time ago. It was actually earlier this, it wasn't even last year I think, or maybe it was in the beginning of this year. I was away in Mexico, but it's like 9 or so, almost 10 months ago. And I did a second time in my life I did mushrooms or psychedelics. And the first time I did it was about 12 years ago. I did it in Asia. And the first time I did it, I remember I was sitting there. I did it with a couple of friends, but I was sitting there with myself and just viewing things, observing things. And I was so kind of like immersed in the moment where I was doing it, because I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was just sitting, observing things, viewing things, and taking in everything that was around me. And when I did it the second time now in Mexico, that was exactly the same thing that happened. I just wanted to be with myself. I just wanted to sit and take in everything that I was experiencing. And recently it got to me that what really happens when we do get on a trip like that. I wasn't on a very high trip. I was actually a very mild one. It was like a quarter of a little chocolate bar. So that was a very mild portion. If you take a high dosage of that, you can get to the point where you experience true ego death, which means that the mind is completely gone. You just experience everything as it is supposed to be, as it is at this current moment. But it just got to me now that that's exactly what happened to me. Not to that degree, but like I said, a milder version of that. Because I was so immersed into the experience that I was partaking in. So I was just sitting and taking in everything. Because what happens is that when the mind gets so still, when the ego just disappears like that, your senses are so sharp. That's why we call it moving from 3D to 5D. People think it's like a physical way of viewing everything. You have more angles, but no, that's not the case. The 5D is you're activating all your senses. So you have smell, you have taste, you have touch, you have the way you can see and feel. And if we can move beyond that, we move to the sixth senses, which is intuition, aligning your heart. And that's exactly what happens, because I remember it so clearly now that everything was just... it was almost like I was looking at this incredible high-resolution movie, like 4K or 8K. I could just sit and... I don't know, I could take a pencil, I was just sitting and viewing it, and looking at it. I was viewing my hands like this, and I could just... It was incredible. And the last time I did it when I was in Mexico now, I was listening to music one of the times. And the sensation I got from just listening to the songs was incredible. You could just hear different dimensions of the song. And when I was at the beach and I was sitting viewing the stars, it was almost like I was moving up to the stars. I was disappearing to the stars in a way, to the sky. And I think it's so fascinating, but that's actually what can happen when you do these kind of things. But the best thing of it all is that we can actually get to this place without the drugs or the things, We can actually get to that place. We don't need them. We can use them because we want to see how it can be. Like we get this little motivator, Like you, let's say you want to have like this fast car, supercar, Lamborghini or Ferrari or something. A good way to get to a place that you can rent it, so that you can feel how it is to drive it, to experience that. Because that will trigger you more to get this, or whatever it is. So I think you can view it in that way, that we can use them in order to feel where we want to go, what we want our life to become in the future, So, but I wouldn't say that I recommend everyone to do it, because you should always be aware of the consequences. Because if you are on a lower end of the consciousness level, I would probably be very careful when I do it, and I would do it in a very safe surrounding as well. And no alcohol as well involved, so you just do it. You do it for the right reason. That's what I think we should always have in our mind. But I think they are a tremendous tool for us to actually get a glimpse on what we can achieve naturally, without we just letting go of fears, illusions, and ideas and concepts. We can actually get to that place, and that is amazing. What else is there really to achieve in this life to get to the place where we can be completely free? Because I've noticed it now, when for the past months what I've been practicing to really be in the present moment, to really take in everything that I'm doing, everything changes completely. And that is a very similar experience I had when I did mushrooms. Now when I'm just walking in the woods, I can really feel, you can hear much more in the surroundings, you can feel everything, you can see more the landscape, you can see the more depthness of everything, and the richness, you know. Or when you're having a meal as well, like you just focus on eating the meal, you can feel the flavors, the sensations of that experience much more. And that's very close of taking psychedelics. When I talked to my mentor Josh X, he said that sometimes when people take very high dosage of mushrooms or psychedelics, they can get to the place where they experience ego death, where the ego is completely done around. And of course they will get back to normal state, but it can actually have a very long effect. So even though the mushrooms will leave the body in several hours, that effect can have such a high impact on you that you will actually change after that. You will start to perceive your reality different, you will start to perceive your life different, and you will actually change a lot of things in your life. So it can have a much more greater impact than you can actually imagine. But like I said, you should always be a little careful and not do it, obviously. You should do it when you are in a state, I think, when you, like I said, you do it for the right reason. You do it for something that you want to get a glimpse on what life can be like. Because most of the time we're just living through the mind, and we never experience things through the mind, because that's not the real experience. It's a very shallow way of living the life, you know. And if you're living this video and you have a perspective, you have been on both sides, you know what I'm talking about, because you can't compare it when you're really immersed in an experience. It's really nothing else to be compared to. So I think that's such a huge thing to take with us. So yeah, that was my kind of like little epiphany I had. Like I just realized that when I did psychedelics those times. To be honest, I don't really know if there's a difference between psychedelics and mushrooms. Maybe it is. If you know, let me know in the comment section. But I think I did mushrooms at that time. But anyhow, I can really see why I was so amazed by it, why I really liked it, because now that I've been practicing this, I can really see the similarities, and I understand now what the purpose of it is, and what the purpose of going to maybe a ritual, like a ceremony, you know. Why do you do that? But always, it's not a necessity. It's not that we have to do, you know. Some people assume that they need to do it. That's not the case. We have to drop these ideas. That's definitely not something you have to do. But if you're a curious person like I am, I want to experience things and I want to see them for what they are, and in my own life, I choose to do it. And you should never be ashamed of that. You should be just encourage that. That's great behavior. You're curious. You are like you were when you were a kid. You just want to explore things and see things and get to the real truth, you know. So yeah, that's it for today. Talk soon. Take care now. Bye.